an Unspoiled Network podcast.
This is Unspoiled, covering WestWorld Season 2, Episode 2, Reunion. In this episode, we go back in time a little bit, and we get to see the origins of William and his relationship with Douchebag McGee, whose name I'm not even going to try and remember. Welcome to Unspoiled.
Douchebag McGee. That is James Delos, ma'am.
Dickie McDouchebag. Yeah, okay, James. He doesn't look like a James, though.
What about Jim?
No, not even a little bit of a Jim, no. He looks like he'd have some...
Donald?
Donald?
Not Donald, like Donald.
No.
No?
Mm-mm. No, he needs some. He needs to be named something like Tanner. You know what I mean?
He does not look like a Tanner.
He looks like a Tanner.
No, he doesn't.
Any Tanners listening? Sorry, it's a douchey name. It's one of those names.
That's a different type.
It's
of
not your
douche,
fault. There's just like a bunch of there was a girl that I went that I was working at the bank with, and she was gonna name her son Reagan.
I'm sorry, what now?
Reagan. And every time she would mention it, she wasn't pregnant or this was I have my baby names even though I don't even have a boyfriend kind of thing. And every time she'd say it, I'd be like, friggin' Reagan. And she'd get really annoyed. So I made sure to do it every time.
Reagan?
It's a terrible name, and I was trying to get her to see it, but... Yeah, Reagan. Reagan... Tanner, that was the other thing. She picked, Reagan was her number one, but then she went through a bunch of other names that were all there was Tanner and Fletcher and a bunch of names that were professions at one time or another. I think there's a Frasier episode where Niall says something, where'd you get these names from the big book of medieval professions? Cooper, Fletcher, Tanner. Yeah, that kind of thing. And she loved those kinds of names, which Fletcher's not so bad. I kind of like Fletcher.
There's a
Poindexter.
There was a joke on Judging Amy, which is a show I watch religiously. And she's talking to her preteen daughter, and her daughter is rattling off all her friends' names. And she says, "Why are all your friends named after dead presidents?" She has a Madison and a Kennedy.
Nice. Yeah, that seems right. He could be... What kind of, president name could he have? Because that feels right to me. Ham. Let's just call him Ham for Hamilton. Good old Ham. Look at this guy. That's just classic Ham, am I right? It sounds like the label on a fucking classic Ham.
Classic Ham. Now in
maple glazed. That's what we call him when he's totally high, is maple glazed ham. Oh, he's honey baked right now. Let me tell you.
These ham jokes just write themselves.
Oh God, I'm sorry. All right, so let's start at the beginning, shall we? Yeah, this again with back and forth in time, but this season, the show is fine with us knowing that we're jumping back and forth with time. It doesn't feel like they're trying to trick us.
Yeah, they give us very clear indicators of where we are. Mm-hmm. I appreciate that because we talked about this last time. I like that the show is not trying to trick us in the same way that it did
Mm-hmm.
last time. It's like you said before. All right, so we see what they're up to, and they're like, okay, we're not going to try to play that same hand twice.
Which, I mean, there are shows that do the exact same thing in the second season that they did in the first one. So I didn't think they would, because obviously the people who write the show have proven to be better than that already in the first season.
Mm-hmm.
But I would lie if I said that I wasn't a little concerned about it. Like, there's just something about the way that producers get like really gun shy about trying anything new when something has proven to work so well the first time.
Right.
And they don't understand that it worked well the first time because it was the first time.
Right.
That's how first times go.
Look at us talking about The Walking Dead again.
Listen, if you haven't seen the most recent season, just watch the second season or the third season and you'll have seen the most recent season. It's fine. So yeah, and Angela is like much more in the focus in this episode, even though I don't think, because you told me what her name was last episode, but I don't think we actually heard her name until this one. It doesn't matter, but I'm pretty sure that nobody ever mentioned it.
What, you mean ever?
I don't remember anybody saying it.
Oh, well, no, we knew her name in the first season.
We did?
Yeah.
Who calls her by her name?
I think she introduces herself to William when she does the orientation thing.
Oh. Well, I don't pay attention to what hosts say, so what are we going to do? But so one of the moments that you like pointed out from the very first episode of this season, the previous episode, was the flashes of memory that we see coming from Bernard. And
Right.
one of them is of Dolores in this like high-necked black dress. And we start off this episode with her in this outfit. And she's in the world. She's in our world.
What even did you think of this?
I had no idea what to think of this because obviously this is like past. So I was just like, I thought at first that it was like a training exercise to see if she could function with like improvisation with strangers or something like that. Which, I mean, I guess it still kind of could be. Then I thought that maybe it was like a test thing for people to bring her out into a crowd and see if other people sensed something weird about her.
Right.
I didn't know what was happening. Then I thought, because like I had so many things flash through my head, that maybe Bernard had like checked her out of the park because he is into her and is going to like weirdly romance his subject because he's getting a little creepy. I didn't want to believe that, but can't put anything past men, can we? So I really got a bunch of more and more questionable theories running through my mind. And eventually when Ford walks in and starts to like reprimand him, I weirdly felt myself relax because Ford was there and Bernard was telling him, I don't think she's ready, which he then tries to be like, I'm not playing favorites. And I'm like, aren't you? Because what about her in this scene doesn't seem ready? Why does he come to that conclusion here? I can understand it after their conversation that takes place later where she's repeating herself. But here, it feels like he only says that because he just doesn't feel personally comfortable with sending her out because he's protective.
Right. That's exactly what it feels like to me,
Yeah.
too, in this moment.
And yeah, he takes her over to the house that he's going to be staying in, which is really, really close to his work.
Mm-hmm.
And we find out that his son was real because I don't remember if we Did we establish last season that
We
his
did.
son was for real? Okay.
Yeah, because one of the things Bernard
he plays
asked.
the music.
Wait, what?
He plays the music. I forgot that, and he says this is my son's favorite song.
Yeah, and Bernard asked Ford about why did you give me that memory, of losing him. But yeah, so okay, so I know they did it a bunch in the first season, but these little flashes of like young Anthony Hopkins, they just tickle me.
Yeah, they just had him in like the reflection.
Yeah, it was pretty cool, and then like you just hear his voice, and it's a flashback, so it makes sense that we would still be getting stories about Ford, right?
Right, yeah.
So, after it goes, to the lab after that scene?
Well, let's see. He does that. He brings her up to the roof of his new place, and this is when he says, like, I think that you guys might deserve it more than us. Or he says, I think maybe we aren't the ones who deserve it. And this is when she repeats herself, and he gets a little bit of a reality check and is like, all right, you know what? Let's head back inside. And I'm like, yeah, she ruins the fantasy. How about that? Although I did like the line, a new light can be just as frightening as the dark. Because, yes, it is wise, Dolores. Well done. I was surprised he didn't say, did one of us write that for you? I kind of expected him to. And then we get the opening credits, which you had mentioned that they changed. We have like a woman cradling her child. We have a buffalo falling weirdly and running. There's a lot happening with that buffalo. And then, yeah, we cut to the lab where there is a dude who is repairing them and demanding to know where the next fucking shift is because they're going on 13 hours. That's a lot. Jesus, doing this for 13 hours? It's brutal. Yeah,
he's rightly outraged.
Yep.
And also clearly has no idea what the fuck is going on.
Yep. And they're in the middle of this when some fucking dude flies in through the door with his, like, bloody tuxedo and is like, it's a slaughter out there.
Do you recognize who that is?
Is that the one that was from the what do you call it?
From the
barn?
From the track. And remember you were like, why'd they let one dude go?
Oh, that's the right. Okay, yes, because I recognized him from the barn, but I couldn't think where in time-wise this would be, but I forgot that he gets let go from that whole situation.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
So there you go. That's what
He's
they
meant
needed.
to just be like the herald. Ouch.
He's the, what do you call it? How they find this lab.
Oh, so they just follow him back.
Right.
That's clever. He just did exactly what he needed to do, didn't he?
It's like he was on his own loop.
Oh. And they blow away one guy, and like I feel bad for the tech dudes because they just
he had this long ass shift, and now this nonsense.
You know, I bet he just wishes he took a bathroom break real quick. This is the kind of thing, like I'm comparing this job to working in like Burger King, and nobody has shown up to relieve you, and then all of a sudden, you think that somebody is coming to help, and you get a like fucking
a tour
full
bus
of kids who all come pouring in through the front door screaming, and you just want to plunge your own face into the fucking deep fryer. Yeah. So
I feel like that's a pretty accurate description of what this job must be like, though.
Yes.
Because we already know that this type of work from Felix and Sylvester is pretty low-level grunt kind of work.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, it's a skilled labor, but it's definitely not glamorous, you know, and probably a position that gets a lot of abuse, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it's very much like, I just fucking want to clock out and go home.
Yes. Yeah, and I mean, it's just, like, there's no way that you can't work on these people's bodies all the time and not start to develop some sort of coldness, right?
I would agree. Yeah.
I feel like that has to happen. Because it's not like when you're a coroner and you're dealing with real people and explaining what happened to them and trying to, like, find clues. Like, this is just, another body, fix it, put it back. Another body, fix it, put it. Like, it's...
They're working on them. And then, like, later when Teddy comes in and you see it panned, you see the, like, the sort of, I guess, the rinse room where all the bodies are just kind of, like, stacked up after getting all the blood and shit washed off of them.
Mm-hmm.
And it just it's probably like being in a meatpacking plant, you know?
Yeah.
Because you got this disconnect because they're not people, you know, they're not real people, but they look and feel an awful lot like real people. So you got to do this, like, distance, I would imagine, between you and them. So yeah, you're just kind of like working on slabs of beef.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. That's not a very pretty picture.
Don't care for it. Thank you. And this is when we have Dolores, like, facing off with this guy. And he's like, you have no idea what you're up against and what's out there. And she's like, don't I? And this is when we cut to Douchey McGee talking about how he has a Warhol on the ceiling. Because what's the point of having a $60 million Warhol if you can't look at it while you fuck?
Well.
I just... First of all...
Do we cut to that right then?
Yeah. We do. I promise. She's playing with that guy's tears. And then we cut to this.
Okay.
Yeah. And I love, like, the guy who's sitting with him and laughing at his jokes that he's, like, flirting with. It really seems to be laughing in that way that you do, where you're like, oh, God, somebody save me. Like, it just seems really uncomfortable. And fucking William yawns and is like, oh, it's the jet lag. I'm sorry. Because he's still Charlie Brown William at this point. I'm just really...
And he says, this is super early because he's like, I can't believe this guy is dating my sister.
Yes. He does. I can't believe this guy is dating my sister. Who are you dating? You precious baby. You think you're good at this? So then in swoops, what's his name and what's her name? You know.
Angela, and he says his name, but I don't think I'm going to say it right. It's like Akichita?
Akichita?
I think that's it.
Okay.
I'm not 100% sure, though. I meant to, like...
Akichita?
Akichita sounds good.
And yeah, they are... So, okay. They have this conversation, and then they're like, we're going to give you a demo. Did you figure what the demo was, what it was?
Yes.
I did, too. I'm wondering how many other listeners figured it was what it was, because Owen, like, expected Angela to be the one host because we know her. Right. But I, like, assumed that everybody in the room was going to be. So when they all stop dead, Owen was like, oh, sick. And I was like, that's fully what I thought was going to happen.
Yeah, I don't think that that's supposed to be surprising to the audience. Also, there were a lot of familiar faces in that room for us.
That's the other thing, yeah, was that there were some people that I recognized. Yeah. So I was like, well.
Yeah, I don't think that was supposed to necessarily be for the benefit of the audience, but we were supposed to really get what a revelation it would have been for Logan. Like, to really, because that's one thing we never really get, because by the time we come to this world, it's so fucking normal, you know? Mm-hmm. People are just going there on vacation. It's not really a big deal, you know?
Yeah.
We get a little bit of the wonder from William in that first season, but it's not like as
he's treated as a rube for having the wonder.
Exactly. So we never really get to we don't get to experience what this would have been like to really encounter this technology for the first time, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I love Logan when he's like, we're not here yet, but you know, we are here.
Mm-hmm. That the acting in that scene from him is really good.
I love this actor, and
he's good,
and also he's just really wonderful to look at.
He does nothing for me.
No,
not a thing.
Yeah, he does a couple things for me.
And I know that's like supposed to be part of his jam, like that he's a really attractive douchebag. Like that's sort of who he plays in Punisher as well. And it's like a joke about how pretty he is and how, I'm going into combat, but please don't mess up my face or my hair kind of thing. So I know that's, but honestly, it's one of like, he's the kind of pretty that doesn't really register for me until the script tells me that I'm supposed to notice how pretty he is. That's, and I've noticed that there are certain actors, and I think it's when they all look sort of similar that I just tune it out because, well, yeah, you're attractive, but you're like Hollywood attractive where everybody's attractive, like, so I don't notice anymore, you know? Mm-hmm. So, yeah. I also, I just like beefcakes too, so there's that. So then they like pretend that there's one or maybe two robots mixed in and that he has to like pick them out of the crowd. And he does that wonderful thing where he's like, you should talk to your plants. They're painfully human. And it's so great to see him being so fucking smug and thinking he's being really eloquent about this when he's dead ass wrong. One guy, like the dude who's played by Jonathan, what's his name?
Jonathan Tucker.
He's so good. When I saw him in this cocktail party, I almost hit the roof. I love him. He was in the last season of Justified, and he's a fucking creep in that, like real scary. So, and he, Justified is basically like a modern Western. So that suits completely. But yeah, he stops and like looks at him like, the fuck are you doing, buddy?
Like, can I help you? Why are you all up in my shit?
Right. He passes a woman who adjusts her bra strap, a guy who's cleaning his glasses, and he keeps assuming that all of these movements are just too human. There's no way. And then Angela draws his attention by standing stock still in the middle of the room. Does she not become a host for like a second when you're watching this? Yep.
Like for a second, I'm like, is this woman even real?
Yeah.
It's so amazing. And I love too how the minute, like he's trying to comprehend what exactly is going on, right? And he's coming over to her, and the minute he realizes she's not real, he begins to touch her body in a way that you wouldn't a real woman. You know what I mean? Like the minute she becomes an object, he starts to treat her as such.
Right.
It's so fast. I love this whole scene, and I can't believe how still everybody is managing to stay.
And I also really like about this scene that he is sort of bringing the expectation that I had to the table as a first-time viewer, where I know this show that I'm about to watch, WestWorld, is about robots that are in like an amusement park. And I'm assuming that when we start off, we're going to see a bunch of perfect, beautiful people that are obviously not real because they are perfection. And that's how he's seeing her at first. He's like, oh, of course, you're one because you're too fucking perfect. Look at you.
Right.
And then everybody else stops dead. And it's like, no. We can make perfection, but that's not really the point. The point is to make it real. So there's dots of perfection here and there for those of you who are into that sort of thing, but it's not like the whole deal. And can we just talk about how creepy it is when she laughs and like lifts her hand to get everyone to stop?
Yes.
She looks like a literal demon when she laughs. Her teeth take up half her head. It upset me. I may use that still for the like the show post.
Oh, you know what I read about her today that I didn't know?
What?
Apparently she is Elon Musk. Is that how you say his name? That's it, right? Elon Musk?
Yeah.
That's his ex-wife. Twice, apparently.
Wait, what do you mean twice? Do you mean he was married to her twice?
I think so.
They got married and then remarried?
Well, the quote I read was that's Elon Musk's ex-wife, and then twice in caps. So that's my inference. Whether or not that's exactly what they meant. Oh my God! Did you screenshot my tweet and then put it on? I mean, my email and then put it on Facebook.
I did because it was hilarious. I told you that I was going to do that.
You told me you were going to screenshot it. For some reason, I just thought that meant to save and abuse me with later.
Why would I do it for myself? Have you met me? I can't keep shit to myself for a second.
All right. So
yeah, then he like flips out and, as you said, just does the like, but we're not here yet, which I really like that being clarified for us, because
yes.
I've said so many times while watching the first season, God knows what's going on out there if this is technologically possible. I have no idea what the rest of the world could even look like. But we're finding out that this is not considered where we are in the real world.
Right.
That changes things a lot, you know?
Mm-hmm. This revelation that they are like miles ahead of what anyone else is doing brings up a lot of questions for me, and which probably aren't really important to the story, but like, how did they get there?
Yeah, that's I actually wanted to know about the funding, because there's no way they get here without an intense amount of money, and there's no way that it's secret with that kind of money being poured into it.
Well, there's a bit of talk at the beginning when they show up for the meeting, or when Angela and what did we decide to say? I
forgot already.
Oh, I can't, guys. I'm so sorry. But when they show up,
call him Mr. A.
Logan makes a joke about how with all the cloak and dagger, you know, he thought he was going to be kidnapped at the airport. So I guess there was an incredible amount of secrecy around it. But to your point, who was funding it? I can't remember if they talk about it in season 1, when they talk about the early days, you know, with Robert and Arnold, you know, and it was just, he talked about it was just us working on our little project. Yeah, I would be really curious about all that too.
Well, unsurprisingly, Honey Baked Ham over here starts making out with her, and the next scene that we have is her getting dressed with like 3 other hosts, like over the bed or sitting on the ground, or, you know, they're all passed out in different positions all over the place. And it's a really weird moment, because as she stands up and gets dressed, she looks over her shoulder at Dolores, and she looks really like hostile.
Yeah, it's a weird moment, because I don't know if I would think that, like, Dolores looks like something.
She looks disapproving.
Almost, right? But it doesn't make sense. Why would a host be judgmental?
Maybe she's only judgmental towards other hosts?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I know she's, you know, her whole whatever, you know, is like innocent rancher's daughter deal, right? That's like what she's built as. Mm-hmm. But she does seem a little judgmental here. And Angela seems like she reacts to that with a very much like, the fuck, you know, is your problem? Don't judge me. You don't know my life. Mm-hmm. Which is just a weird dynamic, because as host, like, why would she care?
Right.
But, but again, you know, they are built to have different sort of core drives and I guess even morals. Even though I don't know if they're morals, if they're programmed. But you know what I mean? So I guess it is possible that Dolores would be disapproving of a young woman sharing a bed with a stranger, you know.
I guess. Get
But
over
yeah.
it, Dolores. God.
But yeah, I definitely thought that there was definitely some weird tension there.
Yeah. All right, I'm glad that wasn't just me then.
And yes, she was married to him twice.
Girl, why do people go and get remarried?
Because they think it'll be different this time.
Yeah. It's called a breakup because it's broken. But anyway, so then we have the scene we go to where Teddy is shown his history.
Yeah.
It's because I had said I wasn't sure what she was going to show her or show him in order to like prove this all to him. And I didn't realize it was going to be something so direct because I think I expected everybody who worked in the main centers to be dead. And I didn't know if she would be able to find like evidence for him.
Right.
Because, you know, you can walk in there and be like, see all of these bodies? Well, yeah, there's also bodies of workers everywhere. Like, how do you differentiate? You have to have a part of the park that's still sort of functioning as usual for this to have any sort of effect.
Right.
So that's what they did. And yeah, he sees because they take photos of him when he comes in and is worked on every time.
Yeah, he's got his whole, like, his log history or whatever is all right there. Now, so where do you think, it's not really like I'm trying to not spoil you, but I just want your honest, like, opinion. So Teddy is not as woke as Dolores is.
Correct.
But he's some level of woke, right?
I think the fact that he believes this right away points to yes. Because at the very least, he senses there's something going on. It feels like he has sensed something.
Mm-hmm.
And the moment that he sees this, he like grips this guy up and it's like,
right.
Why the fuck are you doing this? There isn't a moment of like, there has to be an explanation. Like, it's 0 to 60 immediately.
Right. And he can see it, you know. Remember how in the first season, anytime they would be confronted with something that didn't make sense, they would either not understand it. Like, if you made, like, modern references, they'd be like, oh, what are you talking about? What's you know? But he's able to see this information and grasp it.
Yeah, that's true. Interesting. I wonder how that works. Because they must both have been messed with a little bit in order to function in this world. He doesn't walk in there and go, none of this looks like anything to me. Mm-hmm. Which one might expect. And that actually because I'll wait to bring that up later. Okay. But yeah, you're right. And the dude, like, the answer that he gives as to why we're doing this is for fun. It's for fun. Which is not the answer you want when you see pictures of your own bloody corpse over and over again.
Yeah. I mean, he was kind of on the spot and under pressure to give an answer. But that's still no excuse for that terrible answer.
Think it through. Think it through, buddy. All right. So then we cut to Alazzo, who's being hung upside down over a ant nest.
That thing is fucking-enormous.
An ant hill, I guess, is the thing that people say, right?
I think that's what they call it. Yes. An ant nest.
Yeah. We had one in our backyard that was like that a couple years ago.
That's horrifying.
And it was fucking, it was one of those things that you just you're like, I know I need to do something about it, but by now it's gotten out of hand. It's like having a Tupperware in the refrigerator that you haven't opened in 3 months, and you keep seeing it and being like, I need to do something about that Tupperware, but you just can't open it. You can't make yourself do it. You know what I mean? So finally, you just throw that shit out.
You just throw the whole thing away.
That goes straight in the trash. Like, I'm not even messing with this at this point. It's either throw it away or you let it ride for like another couple months and just hope that eventually it like eats itself out. Like, oh, that's not how I wanted to say that at all. I'm bad at language. You know what I meant.
Until it eats itself out.
Oh, God.
Take it back.
Anyway, before I was hoping that basically it just like eventually rots down to nothing.
Right, it's just like a couple of crumbs.
Yeah.
You know, it's just all fucking dry and you can just dust it out.
It's like that episode of 30 Rock where she asked him to go on a date on Friday, not realizing that Friday is Valentine's. And she's like, oh, God, I just realized, I'm sorry, I don't have a good sense of what the seasons are. And he's like, yeah, the rotting jack-o'-lantern in your hallway kind of gave that away. And she's like, yeah, at first it was gross, but then I kind of wanted to wait and see if it would just disappear. So anyway, Man in Black shows up, blows away these dudes, saves Alonzo. Is it Alonzo or Alazzo?
It's Lawrence right now.
Oh, right, because the other guy, yeah, okay, he's Lawrence. And the one dude does not die easy. It turns out that you've got to do, it's a zombie thing now, headshot or nothing, basically. If you get him in the body, it doesn't seem to take them down the same way that it used to.
This is the dead don't stay.
Yeah. And this is what I had been going to bring up a second ago, but I wanted to wait since it was the very next scene, is the fact that these hosts are still on their loops out here, right? And so it's not until we have the scene later at, what do you call it? Vice?
Pariah?
That's the one. I was like, what are things that make you feel alone? Pariah. Okay. Until we see them and they actually like address it, I didn't realize that they had been programmed into like new loops for William, basically, is what it seems like has happened. Mm-hmm. So I was like, oh, okay, these guys are still acting like the park's running, except that they don't die the way they are supposed to, and their weapons do damage him. How does that work? Were they like equipped with new weapons? Was the safety taken off of the weapons that they've been using? What did Ford put in place for this part of the game to shift the way that it has?
That's a really good question.
All right.
I don't know. I'm trying to think. If they've explained that at all. I mean, we've been seeing, humans die since the first episode, right? Since the season started. Right. They've been dropping like fucking flies. Mm-hmm. All the hosts are still just walking around with their own weapons? Mm-hmm. Or are they using the weapons the guests used to use? I mean, it's not really addressed.
Yeah. Like maybe their weapons used to be blanks and they were given bullets is the only thing that I can think. But yeah, well, I'm glad that you don't have an answer.
No, I don't, and it might be one that I'm not remembering. But honest to God, I don't. Yeah, nope, I don't have anything for you. Sorry, lady.
So then we have the really sad backwater saloon that he goes into and like goes right behind the counter and opens up this like little secret trap door back there and pulls out a kit. And Lawrence is like, what is that? And he says, technically cheating. And we kind of had this conversation last time with whether he was cheating when he used those exploding cigar things, which I don't think he was because gunpowder existed, but this is def cheating. But it also is more video gamey because, you get all kinds of power packs and medicine and whatever. So that's kind of fun too, that they've decided to like lean into the video gameness of it and have secret power-ups here and there hidden that he can get to. And I have to admit that Lawrence really takes it in stride, everything that he's being told. He's like, all right, so here's the deal. Everything that you've been living through has been a joke in a comic book that he just built and made, and you're nothing. But now you're something. And so help me get to the bottom of the something, and then I'll burn it all down. And Lawrence is just like, yeah, all right. What else have I got to do?
Yeah, he doesn't really have much of a reaction to any of this new information.
No.
Which is kind of in line with Lawrence, He just kind of is just almost built to be a sidekick, Yeah. Almost built to be the Man in Black's sidekick in a way. I love, too, that Man in Black says it's in your nature. Like,
Yeah.
Where he's like, why would I do that? Yeah, because this time he doesn't have him tied to the back of his horse, right? This time Lawrence is just willing, volunteering to go.
He even gets him a drink.
That's true. This time he lets him drink. Last time he had him at a table, he shot his wife and kid.
Jesus. That's true. So these two team up again, which I'm frankly here for because they're fun together. Right.
What did you think of the Man in Black's little speech about judgment and what he wants to do?
So, all right, let me back up and so that I can read the whole thing, because he said they wanted a place free of God, a place that they could sin without judgment. But we were watching them. We were tallying up all their sins, all their choices, and judgment wasn't the point. And I'm figuring, like, because, we were talking about DNA and, like, the psychology of people, but is this whole place just an elaborate, like, blackmail machine? Like a factory? I mean, it is only the richest and most powerful that can come here. But, so I could see, like, the advantage of having all kinds of, but, like, does anybody take blackmail seriously when the person who is doing the bad thing is doing the bad thing to a host and not a human being? Like, I don't feel like that would really work.
Exactly. I don't think that. I feel like that's not really great blackmail material, because this whole part, advertises itself for just that type of behavior,
Right.
So, like, oh, I banged a bunch of robot prostitutes. And
this is what everybody wishes that they could do if they had my money. Like, yeah.
What about his thing about saying that he wants to appeal his verdict? When he talks about having been judged.
I don't remember that line. Hold on. I'm like trying to find, because he's asking Lawrence if he has thought about God. Ain't given the matter much thought one way or the other. And, of course, now it's frozen. What does he say?
He says,
it's the Man in Black that says it?
Yeah, he says, hang on, let me get to it and I can read it to you. Boop, boom. So, he says, judgment, they wanted to sin in peace. Judgment wasn't the point. And then he says, I've received my judgment, but I'm appealing the verdict.
Oh, right. I mean, the only thing that I could think with that is that thing that I had suggested before, which was like, you know, using people's DNA to build hosts of them and appealing the verdict by somehow being put into a host that is free of whatever illness is probably eating away at this guy. And him like interpreting an illness as being the judgment.
Okay.
But that's 100% speculation. Like, because it makes sense that he came here to die. Like, that felt like what he had done in the first season.
Mm-hmm.
He said, this is my last trip. So being sick would be the thing, right?
Right.
And he's a control freak. So I figure he's going to choose when he dies.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's going to have himself taken out one way or another. So appealing the verdict, I guess, could be, I don't know.
Okay.
That's the only thing I can think is getting a version of himself built. But then why say this is my last trip here?
Mm-hmm. And that he's going to burn it all to the ground.
I mean, I could see burning it to the ground, because then once you get what you want, you don't need this place. You just bail.
He
know
would
what I
do
mean?
that too, wouldn't he?
He would. He
Fuck
would. He
everybody
wouldn't
else.
care. All he just needs is to get like a stash of those fixing guns and drive the fuck away.
Fixing guns.
I don't know what to call them. Medicine guns. Mediguns.
Coming soon to a Walmart near you.
Then we get the scene of them dunking the security guy's face in that stuff that he says burns.
Yeah, it's like that
Oof.
milk stuff, but apparently it is not good for the humans.
There is like steam coming up off it.
Yeah, and it's congealing to his face, and this, like, it looks like a giant melted vat of Elmer's glue.
Yeah.
Which is probably what it is.
I bet it's like cake batter or something. Something that in between takes he can be like, lovely. But they ask him how many people are coming and where the spot is going to be that they all like convene, because he says that the procedure will be to check like sector by sector and make sure that it's all locked down. And he tells them to expect 600 to 800 men, which is not the news they were looking for.
Dolores does not seem pressed, though.
No. She's just like, yeah, well, you know, that's a number. And she walks into the next room where all of these precious little cinnamon roll helper workers are huddled up, looking like they are, like this is just the most miserable they've ever been.
Mm-hmm.
They look so sad. They really do, you know, their faces just like, this sucks. And who's the guy that's helping her with the friggin' thing tied over his face?
With the thing tied over his face.
Yeah, there's a guy. I'm gonna screenshot it so that you can see. But there's a tall dude who's like one of her muscle, one of her crew. And he's got like this weird mask of like...
Oh, okay. So remember in the first season when they have that campfire talk with Angela and the man in black, and then she comes back with like her crew of Wyatt's men.
Right.
And they're wearing those weird things over their face. And they kind of show up out of the shadows.
So this is one of those guys?
Just one of those guys that are now just like following Dolores. I don't think it's like a specific person that we met.
That's kind of amazing because like they have this like cotton mask drawn down over his face almost to his lips, and it looks like the Old West version of the drone hosts.
Oh my God.
Because they have that like panel over their face. It looks very much
so
like that to
funny.
me. And he's also very tall and broad, like compared to everybody else in the room. So I feel like he could be a drone as well. Like I mean, on set, like, they could use this guy for both scenes. You know what I mean?
Maybe they did.
Maybe they did. And so she goes in there, picks out one of the dudes who runs with the Federados, and gets the worker to bring him back up online. And then goes back to the security guard and says, "Do you even know what you're guarding here? You don't, do you? The real purpose of this place. But I do." And I feel bad for this fucking guard.
I don't.
He doesn't know what he's doing here.
You know what? I just did not care about him at all. I don't like any of the humans in this world.
I don't even mean like, I feel bad for him like, oh, it's not fair that this is happening. I feel bad for him more that like, it feels like he's been used so completely by everybody who's come across him. Like, he's been put in charge of this place, not really told what he's doing here. Mm-hmm. Like, in terms of keeping things in order. And then he gets snatched up by them, and they just like drain him for information while burning up his face, and then like throw it in his face that he doesn't even know what he's here for.
I will give you that he's having a really bad day.
It's just, ouch. It's just kind of humiliating, you know? So then we drop back in time a little bit again. Is that Armistice? That's the sheriff? Or is that a different woman?
My God.
Did you miss that?
Yeah, I'm going back to look because...
Okay. Because she's doing something. She's like tying something around somebody's wrists or arresting somebody, or I don't know. And it looks like her, but it could also not be her, because we know that I have like white girl blindness, and when like I can't be trusted to tell them apart, evidently.
White girl blindness. That's true, though. You do have that.
I really do. I had this on the Orphan Black, too. There's like... And it's not the clones, so keep your fucking jokes to yourselves. It was an actress that plays a side character, and she shows back up again, and I thought she was a new character.
Oh, my God, that's funny.
It was the same character.
Yeah, that's her. I think that is Artemis.
That's Armistice? Okay. Cool. So we had a female sheriff for a while. That's fun.
I think that's her. It was a really quick shot, and her hair is much shorter. But well, maybe it's not much shorter. But I'm not sure. But I think it's her. I didn't even notice that. So
we have everything pause, and then this dude comes walking around, looking at everybody as they have stopped dead, and is kind of casual about it, like, yeah, well, this is all very nice, I guess. Just not impressed, you know. And then William comes up, and it turns out that this is Mr. Delos, Big Daddy Delos. And is he Scottish?
Yes.
Irish? Scottish?
I think it's Scottish. Pretty sure it's Scottish.
This dude could not care less. It's really kind of amazing to me how unflappable he is in the face of this, frankly, miracle, that he could just be like, well, maybe this is the future, but we're talking about the future when I'm dead and gone, so what do I give a shit about that future?
That is like the most honest thing I think I've ever heard anybody say.
Like, we know that's how the world functions. Most of us, for real, don't give a shit about what happens when we're gone. Mm-hmm. That's the whole reason the planet's dying.
Basically.
Nobody really cares.
We clearly don't give a fuck about the future.
Yeah.
Clearly.
But nobody, like, says it. So, props? And he says to William, my fuck up of a son invested in this place. And we have not yet seen exactly what's been going on with Douchebag McGee, but we find out later that, yeah, well, like I said, glazed. So William is here trying to convince him of the usefulness of this place, and talks about how we'll tell them nobody's watching and that there's no judgment. That's what we'll tell them. if you can't see what can be done with that kind of information, frankly, you're not the businessman that I thought you were.
Mm-hmm.
And then gulps loudly.
I know, right?
As he waits to see how his boss is going to react to that kind of fuckery. I love this. His, like, trying to be confident, but also clearly, like,
yeah.
I am.
He's like an inch away from his lip actually quivering while he waits to see how this is going to go over.
Yep. It's a pretty nice bit of acting. Because some of the confidence is sincere. It's the sort of thing where you know your own idea is good. You have confidence in the idea itself. It's the reception. That's the part you're not sure about. That's causing you to kind of tremble.
Right.
So I like that he's able to infuse his performance with that, because that's a real tricky little bit to navigate there. And he calls him a cheeky little cunt. But it's gotten his attention. So he comes down and is just like, all right, well, tell me how it'll work. You've got my attention. I'm listening.
Yeah. And,
pretty good moment.
Yeah, it's great. And Dolores pans back to her, and she's just, standing there, but clearly soaking up all of this information.
Yeah, she seems alert. There was there really was. How can you seem alert when you're stock still just like all the others?
She's just doing some amazing thing.
I don't understand this actress. She's definitely programmed. There's something weird about her. So they bring the Confederado in and, like, give him a horse and just go, yeah, he'll figure him out. They have a knack for sniffing out their own kind, which is hilarious. And if you were talking about anybody but a Confederate soldier, I'd be like, whoa, what's that about? But in
here
this case, I'm just like, yeah, no, that seems right. And there's like a wagon that's on fire, and they're all standing staring at this. And who should saunter in but our friend Maeve and Smallwood and Largewood?
Oh,
probably.
My God. You stop it right now. I will hang up this Skype call.
I mean, listen, it's not my fault that they put Smallwood in that ridiculous outfit. Do you see him back there like a farmhand leading the horse with that hat?
His hat.
It's so bad.
It is just the right amount of humiliation to make him wear that. It's so great.
So
we have not seen them. This is like this was a big moment for me. This moment with Maeve and Dolores,
because we haven't seen them interact really.
Not really, and especially not when they're both like awake.
Yeah,
and it's fucking Thandie Newton, so she's also doing some good shit.
Yeah, she is. Yeah, I liked this because, you assume the two of them being awake that they're going to be on each other's side. But it turns out that their goals here are so different that it's like what Maeve says when she brings up the idea of revenge. She says that's just a different prayer at their altar, darling. And I'm well off my knees.
I love that line so much.
That is a good line.
Yeah, it is. It's funny because as I was watching the first time, I was like 100% Dolores is fucking right. Fuck all that shit up. Fuck them all up. Mm-hmm. And then this scene, I was like, oh, Maeve is making some really good points, though.
Yep.
It's just a really interesting moment when you see, like you said, you assume that they're both going to like fall right in line, but their objectives are so wildly different, and we know Maeve is on a hunt to find her daughter, but also the fact that she just does not give a fuck about this world. Like, she doesn't care what happens here. Mm-hmm. And she's got no, like, Dolores is on a mission of not just revenge. Well, it's a lot of revenge, right? But it's like, you know, she's a freedom fighter, which is Maeve calls her right out on that, though. Like, how can you be fighting for freedom, but you are in command of people? Mm-hmm. You know? And Maeve has people, she's not like in command. She has a little troop of people, and she has a specific thing she's working towards. But she's not like, I wouldn't call her being like in command of her little troop. You know what I mean?
No, I mean, like, Smallwood's basically being forced along, true, but he doesn't count because he's not a host.
Exactly.
And then the other dude is just there because he likes her and wants to be around her because she's great.
And it's not that Dolores doesn't seem to be forcing anyone to follow her either, right?
True.
She has a mission statement, and people have signed up.
I mean, this next scene's kind of forcing, though.
Well, yeah, that's true. That is true.
What is the name of this dude within the world?
What did you just call it?
What?
What did you just call it?
Within their world.
Oh, within their world. I thought you said Wizard World.
Yeah, you know, in Wizard World. That's the next step with robots, actually, is they're going to make a Wizard World with actual, like, witches and wizards that can do magic walking around.
That actually sounds awesome.
It does sound awesome. I'm here for that.
I would go there.
But yeah, so
Braddock.
when she walks in here, they're all eating dinner, but this guy...
His name is Braddock.
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 Okay, here goes a guy who does it for me.
Yeah. There's something like, weirdly attractive about him.
I can't put my finger on what it is. There's something like
it might just be charisma.
It might, right? Like
his neck.
His neck is so. I just want to bite it.
Oh my god!
Like his ears stick out, which would normally be like hilarious, but there's something sinister about it with him, and he's so confident. One could say cocky. But I feel like he falls just this shy of cocky because the confidence feels like he's backing it up with something real. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Oh,
he's got a weird like this weird, almost like manic sort of energy. Like just remember him in Hannibal?
Oh, that's right. He was yes. Because that's what I was seeing him when I was covering Justified, and I was like, this guy played a fucking creep in something, and I can't remember what it is. And Alan finally remembered because I covered Hannibal with Alan, and I was like, oh my god, I can't believe I didn't remember that guy. And he plays a similar type in Justified, where he's not like, you know, carving people up and whatnot, but he's definitely fine with killing people, no problem. Takes a little too much pleasure in gunfights. And it seems like he's being typecast at this point.
Bit.
Because
I am not mad at it, though.
No, it works for him.
He does it really well.
Yeah.
And he basically tells her when she makes her offer, they do not take her seriously. He calls her chickadee. But then when he says, if you have something to trade, go get your betters. And it's such a weird phrase.
Your betters?
Yeah, like go get somebody that's more important than you to come fucking talk to me. But it's just a weird turn of phrase.
Yeah, that one didn't really like shake me because that's something that gets thrown around in like fantasy novels a lot.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
Oh, that's
so
funny.
like
No, I didn't know that.
you learn how to speak to your betters and things like this.
I'm going to start saying that to people on Facebook. I'm not debating this with you. Go get your betters.
That's pretty good because that's just opaque enough for somebody to be like, wait, I know you're insulting me, but wait. And yeah, he says, like, I'm debating which one of you to keep in here for me and which one of you to throw outside for my men. And I love this. She turns around and looks at Angela, and Angela's like, all right, we're fucking shit up. And, like, drops the bar on this. And Dolores says, it's okay. It's in their natures. They don't understand. Let's enlighten them. And the big old gulp that the worker takes as she says that. Poor guy, he knows they're all hosts, and yet he looks so alarmed by this whole thing.
I thought the same thing. He looks so fucking shook. But
oh
I'm
my
like,
God.
You know they're not real people. You patch their bodies up. Why are you so upset that they're all got shot? But I guess just the being in the violence of it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like his face is just like, whole shit is about to happen. I don't want to be here for this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then they light that whole fucking table up.
That, they go down, like, Teddy, buddy. Holy shit, dude.
Right?
What the fuck? I keep forgetting that you can do that. Jesus Christ. It's like half of them are looking around for where that sound came from, and they're dead.
Right?
Like, they're still wondering, where was that as they're dying? And
I love, too, like, they're all sitting around this Last Supper type of table.
Yes, all facing the door. What is that? I like to think it's staged that way for guests, but I don't know why they'd be coming in on this scene.
Oh, my God. I feel like maybe they thought it was, like, really smart. That way nobody can sneak up on them if nobody has their back to the door. But that shit did not help them at all in this case.
That's true. That's true. I guess they only thought they'd be snuck up on by a better. So they let their guard down when they saw it wasn't one of those betters.
And then she has him bring him back and delivers, to my mind, one of the most terrifying things I've ever seen.
Because he brings him back and he doesn't like fix the wound. He's just like, oh, I'm going to turn the power back on.
Basically, that's it.
So he gets brought back and he's looking around like, what?
Yeah, like, just like looking
it's
down
like
at
he got
his stomach,
electroshocked.
Giant bullet hole in his stomach. And she has him by like the scruff of his neck. Mm-hmm. And she says, we have toiled in God's service long enough.
So I killed him.
Listen. And if you want to get to glory, you won't be looking for his favor. You'll need mine.
I love it. She says that, and the camera moves to Teddy, and he like looks down like this blasphemous speech is just a little bit too much for him.
You know, I feel like this is a moment where he's starting to really question, you know, his allegiance. Like,
yeah,
this is some crazy shit to say.
Yeah.
I killed God? I mean, okay, so she kind of did, right?
She's not entirely wrong.
Right, she did
this.
pull the bullet in the back of Robert Ford's head. But also, that's just not the kind of sentence you just go around saying.
But, you know, how's Teddy going to be mad at that when he just shot 15 dudes?
Yeah, Teddy's got no leg to stand on to be all judgy about it.
He doesn't at all. So we cut from there to the gods.
Basically, right?
I mean, it's a fucking, like, pillared palace on the edge of this, like, lake or water or whatever, with all of these beautiful people dressed in unbelievable expensive clothing. And it's really feels like the gods.
Yeah, it could be like somewhere on top of Mount Olympus or something, right? This house, I watched a little, the little behind the scenes deal that happens, and they showed this house. It's gorgeous. It's right on the Pacific Ocean. It's just a stunning house. It had, I think they said 7 rose gardens on the property.
What you need that many rose gardens for, though?
But yeah, and then they have not all the hosts, but they have a lot of hosts at the party, all dressed in white. Mm-hmm. Some are serving drinks. We see
Armistice walks by, carrying drinks.
Mm-hmm. Clementine is there.
Yep.
And then, of course, obviously Dolores is there playing the piano. Mm-hmm. And
there's one woman that I would have thought was a host, but I guess she's not because she's in black. But she's like so perfect looking. She has legs that are like 7 feet long.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, but I guess not. She's just one of those people that I hate. I guess all the hosts really are people that I hate in this scene, but that's fine.
So we get this moment with William and his now wife when he sees Dolores and she's looking at him. And
she knows something's up.
She knows, right? She makes this face. And he's making a beeline toward her. And luckily for him, I guess, Mr. Delos kind of cuts him off.
Yeah.
Oh, she gives Dolores a look of death. I'm just looking at it now. Lord.
I'm really interested, because, I just wonder how much of anything he has shared with anybody about, I know that obviously, Baked Ham is probably, telling people shit, but at this point, does anybody, believe him? Because he's a fuck up?
He's got no credibility. By this party,
yeah.
We see him later on out back by the pool, and he's basically, a junkie now.
Yeah.
But yeah.
He's shooting up with some weird thing that gives him vampire bites. 2 prongs.
Like the future version of shooting up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that really something we would need to improve on? I guess.
Probably.
Medical purposes.
Yeah, you don't need to get a tourniquet or anything. It's super good at, it's got a vein finder on it.
Oh my God.
I don't know. I'm just spitballing here. Maybe it doesn't even need to puncture the skin.
Oh my God. Heroin in the future is practically painless. That's not a good thing.
Suicide is painless. So, yeah, and he sees Dolores, who, as far as we know at this point, did just walk down there because she wants to see the lights. But he really thinks that she was sent to fuck with him by
right.
William.
Before that, though, we have the conversation with the dad.
Oh, right.
So what did you think of this? What do you think they're talking about?
All right, let me go back here because I let that. You sent out for the entertainment, and he says, well, you only get to retire once. Figured we'd do it right, which I was like, is he saying that you're going to have a giant orgy tonight? Is that what he's saying? Because that felt like what he was saying. And then this is a retirement party? I couldn't tell. Looks more like a coronation.
Shade.
Yeah. He says, your stepping down doesn't help me at all. Doesn't it?
I think it helps a little bit.
I feel like it has to. And then he says, I was told I might not have to, but then coughs. And then he coughs again next sentence. So at first I thought he was saying I was told I might not have to, and y'all are reneging on that deal. But then I realized he meant I was told that I might not have to step down because I might be dead. Right? Is what I feel like he's saying.
Oh, okay.
Some of us can afford to have more patience than others is a line he says next, which makes it feel like I'm dying.
I think
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think that's what we're supposed to take from that with the coughing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's supposed to be like a indication that something's going on with him, and that's why he doesn't have time.
Yeah.
And I was told I might not have to step down. You think that is because? What do you think of that?
Well, that's what I said. I thought at first that he was saying that I made a deal that I wasn't going to have to step down, and it seems like you're reneging on that. And then it seemed like
mean like William is reneging on it? Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't understand. I'm sorry.
But then it seems like he's just like, I won't have to step down because I'm going to be dead, so it doesn't matter.
Oh, no sense resigning if you're going to just die.
Yeah, exactly. May as well die in office, and you can afford to be patient because all you have to do is like basically wait me out whether I decide to step down or not. Eventually you're getting my spot, you know?
Okay.
Yeah, so that's how I took that. So, Logan.
Yeah, Logan. What a hot, sexy mess he is.
Disaster. And like I said, he thinks that William has sent Dolores purposely to fuck with him, which for all we know, he could have done.
Yeah, we don't know.
It doesn't seem this way, but I love how polite Dolores is because she's a host about the fact this guy's shooting up at the party. She's just politely curious and like, oh, I hope I didn't disturb you.
Yeah, this is not the first time she's seen this. You know, people are getting all
can't
fucked
be.
up all the time.
Yeah. And then she says, or he says something about how, you know what they're all doing up there? They're celebrating the like downfall of man, of their own species, and they don't even realize that they're the ones doing it, fucking everything up.
Yeah, they're all fiddling, and then he says,
"Which Logan really thinks this? He's the one that invested in this place, so it's got to be the change that they are making to the point of the park, right?
I think that's fair.
So it's got to be cloning or something like it, making like basically it seems like he feels that robots are replacing people, and that feels like it has to be because of what they're doing, so the DNA has to be part of that. Like, that's the only right.
It sounds good.
All right, we'll go with that for right now. So here comes our two buddies to Pariah. And there isn't the crowds coming out of Pariah that they're used to. And Lawrence notes that it's not as welcoming. And
there's like a body hanging at the top.
Yeah. Fucking just dangling there. And William says, well, this is what happens when you let a story play all the way out. And that is so fascinating to me. They just let them play out, and everybody is meant to die somehow, and it just eventually happens to all of them, I guess. Which is, I mean, there has to be someone left, right? But they don't seem to think so. Like, they're strolling in amongst all these bodies, not as concerned as I would expect. Frankly. Do you know what I'm saying here? Like, and Lawrence says, whoever did this is a person that I am strongly disinclined to encounter. And then you hear, I'm afraid you are out of luck, my friend. And here comes our friend, Gus Fring.
Good old Gus. I love him so much. I love Giancarlo so much.
He's good.
Oh, man.
And he is eating it up. That fucking sneer that he has as he's sniffing the neck of that liquor bottle, that is like straight out of a spaghetti western, like over the top. That is a moment.
Yeah.
And I just, this whole story, he's like, talking about, and I'm like, this feels like a very self-aware story that he's telling.
Mm-hmm.
But that can't be right. Like, I'm still not understanding as I'm listening to it. Now, the story is how, when he was a boy, his parents took him to the zoo. And there were elephants that were somehow held in place just with a stake driven into the ground. And these are animals that can rip trees out of the ground. How are they kept in place with a stake? And his parents tell him when they were very small, they were kept in place with a stake. And they couldn't pull it up. And they never tried again.
Mm-hmm.
Because they were so sure that it wouldn't work that they just didn't bother. And then it's like, well, I'm not going with you, so. Like, the story, he tells it with such relish. And then finally, like, he has this smile, and then the smile drops. I'm not going with you. And just walks away to get some more booze. And William grabs him and tries to force him to tell his men to follow him.
Yeah. I love to, when they first meet him, and starts talking, Lawrence says, who the hell are you supposed to be?
Oh,
and then
right.
Man in Black is like, you don't recognize him? That was you in the previous one.
That used to be you, El Lazo, I presume.
Lawrence gives him this face.
Mm-hmm.
Because, again, like all the hosts seem to be in varying degrees of understanding what's happening, right? Mm-hmm. So, just being what the Man in Black calls off your leash and able to make your own choices doesn't necessarily mean that they have a real understanding of what they are and what this world is. So, telling someone that they are meeting someone else that they used to be, and Lawrence just gives like the most perfect face to that bit of news. Just like,
can you imagine if somebody said that to you?
I can't even comprehend what that even looks like.
Like, you're like, are you going to introduce us? And they're like, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't even think about it because you used to be her. So, but no, yeah, this is Rochelle. Wait, can you back it up a little bit? What?
And, but yeah, there's no time to really, like, Lawrence doesn't even say, what the fuck are you talking about?
Nope. This is the part that I think I found the weirdest, is the fact that Lawrence, and not weird like it doesn't make sense, because it does in the context of who Lawrence is, like we've said, but that he does take everything so in stride and doesn't ask questions.
Right.
That I just don't know. I don't know what's going on in his mind. I can't gauge how much of this he understands, how much of this he even believes.
Right.
That's
the thing too, is I don't know if, like, so far it doesn't seem like he is treating this any differently than any other adventure that he would end up on, like this is just another, I don't want to necessarily call it a loop, because obviously this isn't like something that he's programmed specifically to do,
right?
But it just feels very much in character for what the Lawrence character is.
Yeah, definitely.
But I like these little moments where he's just like almost like, well, clearly this guest is insane, but I'm just going to ride it out because that's what I do. I'm Lawrence.
Yeah, I think that's fair. This is how I roll. I'm Lawrence.
But, so he grips him up and threatens, tell your men to follow me right now. And then the thing happens.
Yeah, this is pretty great. Because, like, he's trying to bully this dude, and he thinks that he's about to get shot, maybe, and is yelling at him, Tom! And then he says, this game was built for you, but you have to play it alone. And they all point their guns from him to their own heads and pull the trigger. There's an amazing shot from above of them all going down in a circle.
Oh, it's amazing. It's so good. It's so good. And then his reaction to it fucking kills me.
And then he turns and looks at William. I'll see you in the valley beyond, William. Reaches up and pulls the trigger for him, blows his own head off. And William just says, fuck you, Robert, and shoots him in the head like several more times because it's the only thing he can do to like feel like he's got any control right now, which he does not.
It's so disgusting.
So irritated. It's great. Does he ever run out of ammunition? Is this something that he has to worry about?
You know what? The way Dolores is wearing that bullet thing around her like fucking Worf, it makes me think that that's a concern. But
he never, I don't feel like we've seen him reload or anything. He needs to be scavenging for...
I think we've seen him reload once or twice.
Okay.
But we never see him actually, get ammunition. We've only seen him maybe do like 2 bullets out of his pocket or something like, in the middle of a gunfight. Right. But no, he doesn't seem to be carrying a bunch of... Maybe he's got shit on his horse. I don't know, girl.
But they're going by foot now. They leave, like, Pariah on foot.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know.
They ride in, right? But
yeah, they do.
But they walk out? I thought they rode
out. They walk out from that scene. Maybe they get their horses back.
Oh, yeah, because they walk into the scene, too. Like, when they're walking, like, to meet them. So maybe they, like, tied their horses up, on the outside of town and just walked in.
All right, so here comes the next scene that I hate, with William talking to Dolores and him saying, you really are just a thing. And it's gross. I can't believe I fell in love with you. And he's like laughing at himself, but tells her that he realized all of it was not even about her.
Yeah, this is hard to watch in a way I don't think it's necessarily intended, or maybe it is, right? But I don't think it is. But it rang really true in ways that I'm not sure the show meant to comment on. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do.
So, outside of the show, this whole thing is so real when it comes to like relationships between people in general and men and women in, specifically. Mm-hmm. And this idea that when he says who wouldn't fall in love with their own reflection, I think that's true overall, but it feels very much true for men when they are looking for a partner. They want somebody that just shows them themselves, that just gives back just what they want to see, about themselves, what they think they're really like, even though that's not what they're really like. It's what they think they are. Mm-hmm. And it just is a really gross example of just men being in love with themselves. Yeah. And using women to find out who they really are,
He's basically like, you were my manic pixie dream girl.
Kind of, yeah. Kind of.
You helped me find myself, and now I can just leave you here.
Yeah.
Which is great for me. Thank you.
Yeah, it's also weird too because this is clearly some more time has passed, and he's still visiting her to tell her this kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Because nobody else wants to fucking hear it.
Like,
this is a dude who would have a solo podcast, right? He just goes on there and rants, and nobody listens to it. Nobody even knows about it.
Yeah, it's this. It's like he needs to show her, you know, how much better off he is without her.
Yeah, kind of.
You know,
just it's a power thing.
But also,
it's like, just, not only do I not need you, but I'm the one in control of this whole place now. And you thought you had some kind of hold on me? No, I have the hold. And it's like, she didn't think anything. What are you talking about?
Yeah, there's a lot of that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's bizarre because he's acknowledging he calls her a thing, and yet he still feels the need to have this moment with her,
mm-hmm.
which doesn't make any sense. And then he shows her, like, I just don't even know what's happening here.
Yeah, I didn't get this either, because he's like, he's, okay, I'm going to back this up a little bit, because I think there is an answer here to a question no one's ever even dreamed of asking. And asks her if she wants to see, and leads her outside, and they look at this, like, ravine that it looks like is being carved out of the hill, and says, have you ever seen such splendor? And is clearly, like, mocking her.
Yeah.
So full of splendor. But this moment, I'm not sure what we're looking at here, because it almost looks like the lake that we see later on in, the present.
Right.
Where they find all of the dead hosts.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like that to me. But if he were building this at that point, it would have been on the map, I think. And people are saying, like, this wasn't even here. So I guess it's not that. But I got nothing. I don't know what he's saying. I don't know what he's doing. I don't know what he's saying. He needs to get a life. So, all right. Then we cut to Dolores and her crew rolling up on the Colonel. Teddy, I was about to call him Tony. Teddy's like, yeah, I don't think he's going to be super happy that we're rolling up with all of his dudes and we're riding at the head. Feels like it's sending a message he's not going to be ready for. But unsurprisingly, Dolores is just like, yeah, he'll get in line. It's fine. Which I don't disagree with her. And she tells him also that I'm trying to find the exact, like, phrasing of this. They're all bound for the same destination, the valley beyond, is what Teddy says. Feels like everyone's got a different name for it. And she says, it doesn't matter what you call it. I know what we're going to find there, because a long time ago, an old friend was foolish enough to show me. And it's not a place, it's a weapon. And I'm like, I don't know what that means, lady. I don't get it. The valley beyond, is it like...
Then the Confederados call it glory.
Mm-hmm.
So thoughts, crazy speculations, wild and fanciful theories?
I got nothing. I keep just thinking about that lake of dead hosts, and like feeling like that means something. I've got no idea what. The thought that keeps running through my mind, like I said, is that the hosts aren't dead, and that's not water. They're soaking in some super liquid that's going to, like, supercharge them and give them powers, so they rise up and just really rip things to shreds. But it doesn't feel like there's not enough of them for them to really make a difference in that little lake. That's not, we're talking 500, 600 or 600 to 800 in response.
Mm-hmm. I do love the idea of a superpowered lake, though.
Right? Isn't that fun? It's like they're all like in that liquid that they use for what is it called? The Minority Report.
Oh my God.
You know what I'm talking about? Do. There's a moment in Community where this kid, Chang has this kid in a tub, like a kiddie pool, and he's trying to use him like that, like to tell the future. And the kid sneezes and is like, see, I'm getting a cold. And Chang says, oh, you said that would happen. Yeah, so I don't know, man. I really don't. The Valley Beyond, is it I keep wanting to say something like cold storage. They emptied cold storage. Mm-hmm. They're all out there already. That's not it. I don't know. What?
Nothing. I'm just listening to you go.
I hate you.
All right.
Well, before we go, I just want to remind everybody to check out Day 11 Podcast, the WestWorld podcast about WestWorld podcasts. They are our sponsor, and I am just delighted with that whole concept, and I think everybody should check them out. And now that WestWorld is off the air for the moment, they are focusing on Better Call Saul. There are some other series that they are planning on focusing on soon once Better Call Saul is off the air. But the email that I got, he seemed to want to keep those under his hat for the moment. So I'll just tell you all to be continued. But check out Day 11 Podcast on your podcatcher or day11podcast.com. And thank you so much to Day 11 for sponsoring us. And we love you. And hope you talk about us on your show, too, since we're a WestWorld podcast. But yeah, a WestWorld podcast about WestWorld podcasts, because there are over 40 WestWorld podcasts out there. And I'm sure there's going to be more since the show is like clearly gaining more traction.
Oh, my God. Remember that list we were on in like the also rans category?
Yes. Yes. How did that go? They were like, here are some great WestWorld podcasts. And we were like, you would have to click next. And we were on like the third next.
It was like.
And they were just like, yeah, well, here's another one.
There was like the top three, which are like all the like big ones. Mm. And then they did this really in-depth sort of, coverage of each one. And then they're like, oh, and check out these other 47.
And it was just this little blurb
and it was just
like
names. It wasn't like anything about them.
I was like, I guess, thanks a little. But also, you just clearly searched WestWorld in iTunes and then posted whatever you found. So, yeah, that's, well, all right. So we're leaving that. But Day 11 Podcast, everybody, check it out. And upcoming, I am going to be wrapping up on Orphan Black soon, and I will be starting Doctor Who with Jamie.
And the crowd went wild.
And they went wild. It's going to be starting at the very end of September. So it's going to be a little bit, but I'm excited about that. I'm going to be starting for patrons only, $5 and up. Black Mirror. I keep wanting to say Dark Tower. Black Mirror show with Miles. And for a replacement for Legion, once that's done, there's still about a month to go on Legion. Maggie and I are looking at covering Discworld. So I will keep you all posted on all of that, of course. Yeah, I think that's everything. Is there anything you want to add, ma'am?
No, ma'am.
And make sure everyone to check out the Spoil Me feed, which is up on iTunes, and it's all commissioned stuff that I'm doing as solo podcasts, and people are paying for me to cover certain chapters of certain books or certain episodes of certain shows. And there is a lot going on with that. And I have been commissioned for Veronica Mars, for Iron Druid, for Sunshine, for So You Want to Be a Wizard, for Fire and Hemlock, and for Six of Crows. So, and for Parable of the Sower. So those are all going up, and, looking for people to continue the love so that I can finish some of these books that I've started, because they're really good and I want to read more.
I was just thinking how hard it would be to, have to put a book down indefinitely.
The one good thing is that since I'm so busy with other ones, I don't even notice because I have a million other shows to do in the meantime.
That's true.
So ordinarily, yes. And with Parable of the Sower, which was my very first commission, there was a long pause between that one and when somebody hired me for another one. So that one was really tough. But now it's just they keep coming. So, but yeah. So guys, check that out. Spoil Me. If you'd like to commission something, you can go to unspoiledpodcast.com/shop. And yeah, I think that's everything. You know where to find us. Facebook.com/unspoiledpod, Twitter at unspoiledshow, Instagram at unspoiledpodcast, and use our link to shop on Amazon at unspoiledpodcast.com/Amazon. Thank you all so much for listening. Make sure to leave a review on iTunes if you've been enjoying the show, and we will see you next week with a new episode. Toodaloo, motherfuckers.
Bye, guys.
That was an Unspoiled Network podcast.